Patreon Q&A 147. There's going to be spoilers for all of the series I'm going to be talking about, so tread carefully. Professor asks, which do you think is more likely, Eri rewinding All for One to his prime or Eri rewinding All Might to his prime? So if you follow my channel, you know that one of the things I want the most in the series is for Eri to rewind All Might to his prime. And I know that comes with a lot of controversial takes attached to it, but the bottom line is that it's just too good to be true. And that's why I think it's more likely for All for One to be rewound to his prime via Eri's quirk. And actually in story, it kind of makes more sense because All for One can just take Eri's quirk. And if that did happen, that would be incredible. Like, just imagine all of his machinations come to fruition and he's like at UA and he's coming across Eri, who's by herself in this situation, and she's like too scared to activate rewind in like self-defense against him, and he takes her quirk and then he grows the horn and then he's like Subarashi, and then he like reverts himself to just non-potato form, you know, like, I don't know, rewind himself 50 years or something. And I don't think that's too far-fetched considering that she like rewound her dad to nothingness, but then he's back in the form that we see in flashbacks, and now he's able to utilize his quirks the way that he was before, because that's like another thing about All for One. We're only seeing like a fraction of his power. Like when Gran Torino and All Might are fighting him at Camino, Gran Torino says he's like using a completely different moveset than he did when they fought 6 years ago. And that's obviously because he was nerfed and he can't use the full potential of his power. And we do kind of get a glimpse of what it looked like in the flashback when he kills Nana. And he's, you know, absurdly powerful, like blowing up, it looks like a city or an island or something with like some kind of energy quirk. So I'm assuming he'd be able to use that to its full extent again. And it's pretty much over at that point unless Izuku can unlock the full potential of One for All. And given how things work out in the series, I'm sure he would if he was pushed to in that situation. Awakened Saitama asks, do you think there will be a clear winner to the Garo and Silverfang fight, or will it be disputed or end in some way? So given what Vomit If You're Ugly said in the previous chapter, pretty sure he's going to interrupt it and try to have Bang just fight him by himself. Not sure how Garo is going to react to that, but I don't think this fight will have like a definitive outcome to it. Like, you know, like Garo straight up KOing Bang or Bang KOing Garo. I just don't see that happening, although it could. Boxsteam asks, if King was transported to the Dragon Ball universe with complete knowledge of all the Z fighters, do you think he'd be able to intimidate any of them into admitting defeat like King usually does? So if the aura does translate to the Z world, of course, then I'm sure he can intimidate a majority of the cast. But we also have to remember that like big part of Goku and Vegeta's characters is that like they're obsessed about having a challenge and they'll literally fight anyone. And I doubt King's aura is going to completely break their character. So if it did come down to that, the aura would need to have some kind of luck intervention at that point, because the intimidation ain't gonna work on them. Delamante asks, what state are you from? Hello from Nebraska, the home of 311. I'm from Pennsylvania, but next year I'm gonna move to Texas. Dino W asks, between everything that happens with the Mauler twins, Rick Sanchez, and Twice, what precautions would you take if you had the ability to make clones of yourself? So I guess I'd have to use the method that Dr. Genus did, because it seems like his clones are fully aware of who the original is, and they're kind of like subservient to him. Because I guess if you don't have that dynamic to it, then you're gonna run into some serious issues the way that the Mauler twins and Twice did. If you were in the Invincible world and you had your own hand-picked set of powers, who would you have on your superhero team to defend Earth against its upcoming threats? You can also talk no jutsu anyone from being evil to being good if you want them to be on your team. So I guess I would just pick the 7 strongest Viltrumites. I mean, if I could talk no jutsu them into being on my team, I don't see why not. At this point, at least according to the Prime series, I don't think there's anyone stronger than the Viltrumites, especially the strongest of them. DJ Monkey 115 asks, I don't know if you've played Left 4 Dead, but if you have, what disaster levels would you give each of the infected? So I did play Left 4 Dead, and I would say that most of them seem to be like Tiger level, maybe low demons at the most, like the boomers and the big muscular guy. They're probably like maybe low demons, not equating them to the One Punch Man world, just disaster levels on a relative scale. But the witch, she's like probably a certified demon, maybe even like a high demon possibly. L asks, do you think Genos' insane current power level may be signaling One's story is closer to ending than we thought? No, I don't think so. Like I told you in your other question, I think that he's just going to be fighting Drive Knight soon, and Drive Knight is like basically this powerful, if not like a little more powerful than that. So Genos needs to rise to that power level so it can be competitive. I don't think the story is close to ending sooner than we thought, because this arc still has a lot to happen in it. And then after this, I assume we're going to go into the final arc of the series, which is like the God stuff, and that's going to be at least another 5 years to tell that story, I think. Little Ferrari asks, what do you think One and Murata have planned for Metal Bat? So this is a great question, and honestly, I don't really see how much significant stuff he can do, other than like assisting the S-Class heroes, you know, beating up the cadres, but not like killing them. I don't think he's going to kill any of them, although everything is changing in the manga, so who knows, maybe he kills Vomit if you're ugly, or maybe he kills Evil Natural Water. But realistically, it just seems like he's going to be valuable support, and yeah, he'll eventually wind up getting destroyed by Awakened Garo. What other methods of training do you do? For example, do you take any martial arts classes or cardio? I know you're pretty into lifting, just curious if you do anything else. I could see you being a jiu-jitsu guy. Hey, you're right. Before I got into YouTube, I was really into MMA. Like it was a pretty big hobby of mine, and I was pretty versed in, you know, all of the major aspects of MMA. Boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, but I haven't trained all of that stuff in a very long time. Like right now, I'm just really into lifting and hiking. Natedawg asks, do you really see Deku throwing a punch at any of his friends? I know he's messed up right now, but I can't see him actually hurting any of his friends. Yeah, I don't think he's going to like strike them, and if he does, like you said, it'll probably snap him out of whatever manic state that he's in right now. But I'm pretty sure most of his defense and offense in this potential fight will come from like his Black Whip and Air Force. Samurai asks, if Deku and Mirio decided to not let Eri go with the overhaul at the beginning of that arc and instead decided to take her forcefully, what do you think would have happened? Mirio probably would have still defeated Overhaul, right? I mean, there's a chance Izuku may have died here, but other than that, I don't see why Mirio versus Overhaul would have went any differently than it did. Who is the strongest do you think current webcomic Genos could defeat? Darkshine, Pre-Meteoric Burst, Boros, Orochi, or Goketsu? So I think he could probably defeat Darkshine, and then maybe Goketsu. That's like a big maybe, but no way Boros or Orochi. How could Bang deal with Vomit if you're Ugly's acid? So that's a great question, and the Water Strain Rock Smashing Fist works in mysterious ways. I really wouldn't be surprised if he could somehow like not be burned by the acid through like the magic of Kung Fu or something and like still hit him and it not affect Bang maybe. Sean H asks, would a character like Takemichi from Tokyo Revengers or the TVA and Loki, who are able to travel in time, be disaster level gods? So I don't think just the ability of time travel automatically makes you disaster level god. I don't know much about Tokyo Revengers, but I doubt Takemichi has like dragon level physicality, and the TVA are like wolves. It's like kind of comical how inept they are. Sylvie took care of them no problem, and she's like a tiger. So there's no way they're god level. StarReaper asks, Endeavor beating the Hayanomu was surprisingly emotional. Better moment than All Might versus All for One? To me personally, no. I think All Might defeating All for One is one of the greatest slash emotional moments in all of anime slash manga. I'm running out of My Hero anime real quick, and One Punch Man Season 1 is far away, if ever. What's a good anime to start that will keep me busy for a bit? So if you want to be kept busy for a very long time, check out One Piece. But if that's too intimidating, then check out Jujutsu Kaisen. Wolfire54 asks, who do you think created the robot army that's attacking the city at the end of the last chapter? So pretty sure it's the organization that did that. They were able to get data from Metal Knight, and that's how they made like the Neo Heroes power suits, but also they're making like the Metal Knight drone robots too. And this is a way to like further incriminate Metal Knight, to take the heat off of them so they can continue to hide in plain sight. And then once everybody is like all exhausted or whatever from trying to take down Metal Knight, then they come in. Who do you think are going to stop the robots? The Neo Heroes, the Hero Association, Saitama, Tatsumaki, or maybe even Garo? So that would be pretty cool if Garo showed up, but I think it's mostly going to be like the good Neo leaders, Saitama and Genos. And then maybe some S-Class heroes show up too. Zapphod B asks, what's the future of the remaining Black S on the battlefield? So that's a great question. And it seems like the community thinks that there's like going to be a reveal of a stronger form than Golden S. And I don't think that's too unrealistic. And I thought if that was going to happen, it was going to happen like after this arc, like maybe in the Neo Heroes or the God arc or something, you know, considering that Black S is still around. But it's possible it might happen here. Like the rest of the Black S, I don't know, can fuse with Golden S still or something. That might be breaking the rules of Black S, although they've never really been fully established anyway. Or they all come together and make a multi-S or something, because we still haven't seen multi-S, unless they just completely scrap that character from the manga altogether. Either way, something is going to happen to reduce them down to one single Black S, you know, so he can just continue to be like the little guy he is after this arc's over. From here on out in the webcomic, what will Genos do if he gets damaged? Would he go to Drive Knight? So it seems like he would go to Drive Knight at first and further get double crossed or controlled by Drive Knight, but things are moving so fast that I'm not even sure if it's going to get to that point. But I think in the future of the story, he will for sure go to Bufoy for repairs from this point on. That's pretty much it for the video today, guys. I want to thank all of my patrons for continuing to support me the way that you have. I appreciate it so much, guys. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, simply check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.